So, good morning, Tariq. You are a board member of IFMA Global. You are co-founder of EFS. You are vice chairman of EFS. Can you just tell a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what your background is, and what you do on a daily basis in the EFS?
So, first of all, Greek is indeed Greek to me. So please, I have a little understanding of the language, but I understand the country very well. And it's a pleasure being here. Firstmost, I'm a father of 2 young girls, and I'm a grandfather as well, a young grandfather. You know, before I could touch 60, I have 2 grandchildren. I'm married for 35 years, so 3 women surrounded by 3 women. I have worked in 6 different industries as a banker, transaction services, technology, real estate, and now in facility management. I built the organization back in 2008, an American company that took over, and I built it from scratch, from a 20 million to a 3.2 billion enterprise over the last 17 years. For me, facility management, I always refer to Alexander the Great. I came and I conquered. In a small way, we operate around 26 countries. We manage 75 million square meters in facility management. We operate about 9 business verticals. We cater to plus 200 global majors, and possibly we cater to every aspect, every large enterprise in the region where we operate, including GCC, South Asia, Africa, and now in Europe. With our recent partnership with Manifest, I must compliment that. So this is who I am.
Excellent. Well, the topic of today is facilities management at the board level, a strategic enabler for asset performance. You operate at the intersection of global FM leadership, business strategy, and asset performance. When you hear the phrase facility management at the board level, what does that mean to you?
It's Greek to everyone, unfortunately.
It's a good
most
expression
CEOs,
here.
Most directors, unfortunately, the facility management is sitting at somewhere 3 levels below any corporate decision, mostly. And this is one of the biggest challenges that we face today. I have always advocated, when we talk about FM advocacy, the most important part is the challenges that FM industry today faces. Partly it is because of the significant FM underspend, which is bothering me every day. But managing 75 million square meters with plus 200 global majors, besides my other projects, what I see is a lack of understanding of what the FM goals are so microscopic. Beyond 2/3 of the people look at it not beyond maintenance, not beyond built environment, life cycle, or a little bit of few other things here and there. Though I am a service, I do self-delivery across 75 million square meters. And what is very important here is we have almost 75 service lines. So can you imagine, if you look to 90% of the people in FM would talk about routine maintenance, they would talk about security, housekeeping, few others. But actually FM, if you have to map and if you have to really drive the true impact of FM, it has to come from integrated facility management approach. And for that, do you know that facility management controls, if I take out the non-core cost of the organization, B controls 35 to 50% of cost. Not just utilities, not just workplace, not just supply chain, front of office, back of office, project works. The role of facility management and project works is so critical. Any small works should be sitting under the IFM. So what I'm trying to explain is to most of that, and actually how it happened. I was traveling on our first class on a British Airways to San Francisco from London, and there was a CEO of one of the largest global company sitting next to me, and in a few minutes we were discussing who you are and what I'm doing, and he realized that I'm of no interest to him. But since the flight was so long, he couldn't say no beyond a particular point and started talking. By the time we land up in San Francisco, he says, where I was, he said, I feel something is wrong. In my organization, I've never heard FM.
Yeah, and
that's exactly what is happening.
That's it. And FM is still seen as a very operational or let's say cost control function. What needs to change for facility management to be recognized as a strategic business function?
So we need to have in my facility management, it's not just enterprise, it's not compliance, governance, secure facility upkeep, employee engagement and workplace alignments. Sustainability is becoming critical. And sustainability as a social responsibility, it is important and should be embedded in every organization. But to make it effective, as Matt rightly pointed out, you know what we were doing during the COVID times? We were, first of all, facility management, we are the first responders. And it must be seen beyond safety. It's just not about the building and the built environment safety, or for that matter, the safety of the employees. It's also beyond that. And that is where, so when Matt mentioned about first responders, so for example, CPR. In more than many occasions, I have so many case studies where my HSE teams have given CPR to employees, those who have either fallen or whatever it is, or during the COVID, or for example, recent Middle East tensions. We were the first responders in context to preparing business continuity disaster management plans. How often you see a role of FM in the disaster management? Forget about the design stage to, I have my recent book that is coming on facility management, anatomy of facility management. I've talked about from design to sustainability. From design to construction to commissioning and handover, then going live, and then eventually the 3 stages of the going live, from mobilization, transition to transformation, and then to energy management and to sustainability. So these are the things that are very, very critical for it.
And from your experience as co-founder and vice chairman of EFS, where do you see the strongest link between FM and overall asset performance?
See, asset performance, every dollar you underspend, you'll end up spending to $1, $4. So if you think that if you have cut on cost, and most procurement people take great advantage they boast about it, I've saved so much of money, but you don't realize that there is a benchmark. Unfortunately, we don't follow benchmarks. And the benchmarks are based on baseline budgets, which are often not correct. Today, your financial systems do not rightly calculate. How many of you, and I'm sure gentlemen from CBRE will agree with me, and I'm sure the many other service providers, that most of the baseline of organizations are not correct. The data is, one of the biggest challenges that FM industry is facing is the data. Very poor data. There is no transitioning the data between the commissioning and the going live, or from construction to design. We talk about BIM, we talk about many things, but the industry has serious challenges. And eventually, unless until the integrity of data is aligned across, we talk about AI. AI is not going to be effective into, though AI can make a significant transformation to the business. And partly, AI would fail if we don't have, so industry has to address these issues. Well, I can talk days and days. I have 900 contracts and I'm an operator. I'm not a vice chairman sitting back in the board. I run business and I walk the talk. And that's exactly what I'm telling you. I'm operating in 36 countries and I have 40,000 people. And out of that, I have 22,000 housekeepers and security personnel. I have about 12,000 in the heart services. And then I have the other industries. I operate airports, hospitals, universities, cities, mixed communities. So what I'm telling you, and over the 17 years, I didn't do anything besides raising 2 young girls and, keeping my marriage intact, because that was important. To have family is a critical part of building an enterprise. And I always say when we talk about resilience, we must not talk about building resilience. We should talk about our own resilience.
I want to go back to let's say, sustainability and ESG as well. They're now board level priorities, right? How can FM leaders position themselves as key contributors to these objectives and make sure that on a board level that gets noticed?
So I'll tell you one thing. I'm a skeptic when it comes to the way most of the world have driven ESG, leaving it only as a board, dashboard, only for the purpose of explaining to as a compliance. It should be embedded, it should be owned by people. Right. So energy footprint is important, but what about compassion? In social responsibility, your employee engagement, their progression and development, especially how many of your staff, how many of your housekeeper have seen a progression of 3 to 4 times? That's where you build the organization first. So ESG has many more connotations beyond energy management, beyond, for example, climate change. What an important role facility management plays in fighting for the climate change. We have from prevention to planning. So for example, every one of us once in a while is facing some very rough weather conditions. What do we do in context to that? So my objective of ESG is not just about between E. When we talk about E, there are multiple elements under the E. It is just not energy management. It's about pollution, it's about awareness, it's about cleaning, social outreach to undertake mega campaigns. So that's where it is. And then of course on the S, it's about your organizational social barometer, where you stand on it.
What Matt also was talking about.
Matt has, I think, was very relevant in what he mentioned about the social responsibility. Because I don't think, though I don't run a social enterprise, but I definitely run an organization which has got a definitive impact. And I do not believe, as 7 stakeholders in my business, shareholders, employees, clients, suppliers, environment, employees' families are also part of my stakeholder. And the government, because I believe the nation you work for, we have a responsibility to add value and build future sustainable.
We talked before as well about changing the narrative and making sure that as facility managers, you speak the language that a board member wants to hear. But what competencies do facility management leaders need if they want to earn that stronger voice at an executive and a board level?
Holistically, facility management is nothing but it creates significant value for enterprise in every sense. So if somebody sees FM as a cost, or according to me, return on a good FM regime creates so much of value in terms of real ROI. I can assure you, efficiencies, employee happiness, lower operating cost. If we do, as I said to you, if you do better building life cycle management, but you need to be involved from the design stage. Ideally, everybody should adopt and embrace FM from design to sustainability. But in any operation, even if you go into ready operations, the first most important is the baseline alignment. We do conditional surveys. You see the state of conditional surveys. 90% of the conditional surveys keep sitting on the client because they don't want to take decisions concerning the capex because they don't have budgets. They don't mind, having dilapidated structures running for a year. And I can assure you, what I'm telling you is not only about you are possibly much better off. I'm talking to you about 60 countries. 60 countries. Because I operate plus 200 global, and I've been bidding for some of these contracts at global level as well. I did see that. So what I'm trying to tell you, I'm not a skeptic of FM. I am very confident. I would not have built this 3.2 billion enterprise over 17 years if it was not it's an amazing opportunity for every professional. Yes, organizations themselves have to do a lot. Skilling is becoming a big issue. For skilling, we need to do blended learning. But don't expect that with such bottom lines, with single-digit bottom line, how could you accomplish 3 to 4% of your employees' cost should be going in development? And that can only be possible through blended learning.
To blended learning. As an IFMA Global Board member, what role do you see for IFMA in elevating the profession globally and helping FM leaders move closely to that boardroom?
So what I'm doing at the moment as a part of an FM advocacy, there are 4, I am trying to work and hold with IFMA roundtable conferences with the government officials and with the key stakeholders from the development community, and all of them coming together to formulate a sustainable policy, both regulations, standards, and a new direction. Because unless until this significant underspent issue is addressed, this pilferage is going to be very, very. Second is, I'm also influencing international accounting firms because most of your balance sheets and your IFRS is muted when it comes to a requisite spend in the built environment. Most balance sheets and accounting standards do not, we need to do a lot of work with global accounting firms and bodies, accreditation bodies. Third, Accenture, Boston Consulting, or all these consulting companies needs to understand the role of facility management in enterprise, in prudence, and one is the commercial prudence and second is the overall sustainability. So I think they need to also understand facility management so that they can add value in advising corporates. And the fourth element, of course, which is very important, is the need for skill development.
Skilled professionals in our business.
This is a huge issue. You have plus 30 million trades issue in this region alone, but I'm not referring to Greece. I'm talking about Europe and this thing. I see a significant challenge in the way the building technologies are changing, the way the tool and machine automation is happening. Machines are there, robots are there, but they're not integrated. You have an independent robot cleaning a airport, and the data is not actually getting integrated. So these are the things that I would recommend.
Right. Last question, because we're running out of time. So we're out of time, actually. But I want to ask you one final question, short answer. If you want every board member here present to remember one thing about facility management, what would that be? Is
incorporate a minimum requirement of a FM dashboard in the 9 or 12 slides. If your management has to provide you that insight, and it has to be there. And unless until you have that, your ability to make decisions and support FM is a challenge.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Tariq. Thanks, everybody.